Welcome to the next lesson on our topic about podcast directories. Today, what we're going to talk about and what I'm going to show you is how to submit your podcast or your client's podcast to Google Podcasts. I've shown you previously that most of the media hosting providers nowadays already have their one-click submission process to the different directories. However, just like Apple and Stitcher, Google Podcast is actually one of those who require you to submit to them separately. So let's go ahead. I'm going to show you the step-by-step process on how to do that. And again, since we're submitting to a directory, one thing that you need to keep in mind is that you need to have the RSS feed for the podcast you're going to submit. Okay, and since this one is for Google Podcasts, you have to open your browser. We'll go to the website. Let me just share with you my screen. Okay, so I'm on Captivate right now. I'll just go ahead and copy the RSS feed URL, and then I'll go to podcastmanager.google.com. So that is where you need to go, podcastmanager.google.com. So you will see right now I already have my account login. Okay, so you can actually make use of your Gmail or any Google Workspace email account to sign up for the Podcast Manager access. And right here, you will see that I have here a client podcast. Now, since we're going to submit, what I just need to do is to click on the drop down arrow. And there, click on Add Show. Okay, and the usual process, just paste the RSS feed and then click on Next Step. All right, so it's telling us here that to get insights about a podcast, you must have access to the email associated with it. So you will notice that here on my podcast settings, the email address that I have listed is info@podcastsidekick.com. So that's the author email. So that's the reason why we are getting this message, because the account that I have here is info@florantivaldez.com, and it's not the same with the RSS feed that I'm trying to submit. We'll go ahead and proceed. I'll just go ahead and click. Okay. So right now, I already have it. Okay, most recent episode, Sidekick trailer, 1 episode. Okay, I'll go ahead and click on Next Step. All right, so again, they will be sending a verification code, just like what we had when we were trying to submit to Spotify. So I'll just go ahead and click Send Code. Okay, let's go to my email. Again, copy the code. Go back to Podcast Manager, enter the code, and click on Submit. So there is an expiration for the code that will be sent to you, and it's only 24 hours. So you have to take note of that too. So right now, we already have my podcast verified. I've already verified ownership of this one. And I'll just go ahead and click on Get Started. Okay, so there you go. So that is the simple way on how you can get your podcast on Google Podcasts. So the next lesson that we're going to have is on how to submit your podcast to Stitcher. So stay tuned for that one. If you have any questions about submitting to different podcast directories, let me know. You can email me or you can send me a message on our Facebook group. Once again, thank you for your time. Have a good one.